If you've ever had this feeling that something was terribly wrong with the world that we live in, but you couldn't figure out just what it was, then you've come to the right place. Secret societies, mystery religions, and the Illuminati have been controlling our reality since the beginning of time. But not anymore, because there is an awakening happening, and you are about to become a part of it. Wake up, because this is a call for an uprising.
This is a call for an uprising. Welcome to today's show. Riots, chaos, you know the story. If you've been listening to my channel recently, talking about all the things that were going on with the C-19, I know obviously that's the big topic, again, that everyone's talking about. This is the new big topic. Something is overshining the C-19, and what a surprise it has to do with white cops oppressing black civilians. Or, of course, if you're in the alt-right, which I'm not, saying, well, the guy was a criminal and he went in and did something wrong, which is just all part of the story. I said recently that these other agendas, including the divide and conquer between white and black, all races and genders, was going to continue on through the summer, as well as, there's going to be more events involving shootings occurring, and there's going to be more and more pushed of the trans agenda, and all these things that I constantly expose in this channel. These are all psychological operations. This is no different. Now, you need to sit and listen to this stuff because some of the stuff that's come out in the news just shows you how ridiculous this is. I've covered it a million times and I'll continue to cover it. And that is Freemasonry. If these riots and these things were real, now I get it that through social engineering, through paying for and creating these riots and having Black Lives Matters, which we all know Soros funded, this stuff has been documented for years now. People begin to watch that stuff and they start to feel the anger. I've seen YouTubers who I follow that know all this stuff is fake who are bothered by it because they're saying, why are all the black people being attacked by the white cops? When are we going to stand up and do something about it? Here's the answer. You want to stand up and do something about it if you think this stuff is actually real? Start with the Freemason Lodge in your town. You know why? Because the fraternal organization, the Fraternal Order of Police, where you could see in their own logo, are the ones who are behind all of these things. That's what the organization exists for. The largest police organization in the country. You could see, look at the logo before I show you, wow, how coincidentally one of the heads of the Fraternal Order of Police happens to be commenting on the event and talking about due process and all those things. But first, take a look at the logo. Anything look familiar to you? Well, for starters, you have a star. Do you ever wonder why the sheriff uses a star, the police use a star, the Dallas Cowboys use a star, Starbucks uses a star, gas station places use a star? All these companies always use a star in their logo. This is how they communicate. This is not a Wiccan logo. This is their logo to show that they're all part of the same satanic brotherhood. Don't believe me? Look in the bottom corner. There's an eyeball. What does that have to do with the police? Are these the failed optometrist people who failed police academy like the movie and they wanted to become, or they all flopped out of optometry school and ended up becoming cops like in police academy, something along those lines? And then you have the handshake, right? That's the fraternal order handshake, these secret handshakes they do to communicate with one another, which we've all called out so many times over, that these people continue to get caught looking like fools. Nobody ever turns and looks to the Freemasons. They're the ones who run and operate these things out. Now, they get their orders from way higher up. Obviously, a guy who's the head of a Freemason lodge in Minnesota isn't coming up with this plan. But the heads of these lodges, they receive their orders just like other people in high places receive their orders, even the CEOs of corporations, from higher up. It gets filtered down. They carry out these operations, and it falls right into their motto, order out of chaos. Now, listen for yourself as we have, ironically, right, we get a guy from Alabama, Birmingham, Alabama, coming on the news in Minnesota to talk about what happened there and how we need to do due process and all that stuff. And of course, he's one of the heads of the Fraternal Order of Police.
Training would typically tell you that you need to set a suspect up or on their side where they can get a clear airway. You want due process for the individual who died in this case. But your knee-jerk reaction is to start immediately punishing the officers in this case, and you don't have any facts.
And look, I understand that people don't want to believe this stuff because there is real racism in the world. I've said it a million times. I get it. There are bozos and clowns who are actually racist, but they're racist based off of social engineering for the most part. They've either been raised to be like that, or they've seen all the stereotypes in these stupid TV shows which constantly promote it, yet nobody calls that stuff out and says, you know what, this is teaching this stuff. Why are you guys creating division amongst races? I wonder why. Because order out of chaos. Now, for the people out there who, whether you're white or you're black and you're listening, I'll make it clear. Freemasons follow and worship Lucifer, okay? One of their teachers, who they all have to read his books, Morals and Dogma, and all the other crap, is Albert Pike, okay? Albert Pike, for starters, a Confederate, whether you care about that stuff or not, but also was one of the people who created the KKK. Albert knew order out of chaos needed to be completed. It needed to be done to the citizens. He openly talks about their God being Lucifer, which you've seen the quotes over and over. I've read it to you over and over. And he's one of the people who set up the KKK. So why is it that his statue remains in Washington, D.C., and nobody's called to get that removed, but we've had statues of, athletes taken down, other people who were, I think Ulysses S. Grant, people like that. Oh, we got to take that down. But the hands off Albert Pike. You know why? Because they worship Albert Pike. They worship him in Freemasonry. And all of these Masons who are cops all follow his teachings. Is that a coincidence? Now, if you don't want to believe any of this stuff and you want to just use common sense, because I know there's people who listen and then they go, yeah, but I don't believe in that crap. My cousin's a Freemason. They can't wrap their heads around the fact that there's Masons who are third-degree Freemasons that never learn any of this stuff because they never ascend in Freemasonry. They literally go there because they have no lives and they want to drink beers with other dudes, okay? However, they still take an oath that they cannot leave this fellowship and this brotherhood. They still go through these stupid rituals where they're blindfolded in their tighty-whities with skid marks in the back, where they have swords held up to their necks. So they still go through it. But if you don't want to believe that stuff, why don't you just use common knowledge on the event? This is what happens. And there's another agenda perfectly mixed in. The owner of the store came out and said that he used a fake $20 bill. So his employees did what they were supposed to do, which is call the police. Somehow the police miraculously got there in time while he was still outside of the building.
For 31 years, Cup Foods has been a part of the South Minneapolis community.
We don't just work in that community. That is our community. We know the community. It's a vibe that is unmatched in other community. It's the best thing that's happened to our family.
The family-owned business has come under fire after a phone call to police about the passing of a counterfeit $20 bill led to 46-year-old George Floyd begging a Minneapolis police officer for his life.
I was not there.
You were not there.
The staff that called the police followed protocol. When he identified the bill was fake, the patron was out of the establishment. When the police arrived, he was outside of the establishment, which normally never takes place. Why he was still there, we're not sure.
Right? So then they say, well, he might not have known that he used a fake $20 bill. He could have got it in exchange from another store that he went to, right? And they decided to use brute force and choke a guy on the ground. When are we supposed to believe that these cops are that oblivious that they don't know that there's this whole stigma around them? If you were a white cop and say, just look at it from the standpoint of somebody who doesn't believe any of the stuff with masonry and the stuff I talk about. Okay, if you're a white policeman, how dumb would you have to be to even lay your hands on a black person, let alone do something like that, when you know you're going to get fired? You know there's going to be riots. Because we've seen so many people supposedly lose their job, but in reality, they're being promoted and elevated to different positions behind the scenes where they don't have to be on the streets anymore. That's what really happens. Call it Freemason witness protection. Right? So this guy is that oblivious to it. And then tie in this other agenda, because all you have to do is a basic search. The counterfeit money. Isn't that nicely falling into it too? Because we're hearing more and more about counterfeit money being out there in this world. Oh my gosh, you wouldn't get arrested. It's illegal, but maybe you got it somewhere. You got it at a different store and then you tried to pay for it here, you didn't know illegal. Number one, wouldn't the cashier have looked at this counterfeit bill before allowing him? Wouldn't she take the bill, or he take the bill, give him his cigarettes, and then look at the bill to see if it was real or not? Because I'm pretty sure they hold it up when you're there in some places and do it. Why would they do it after the fact, when he's already left the store? Huh? Yeah, exactly, because it's not real. And secondly, what we saw with the C-19 was this whole mindset of stopping currency, right? Oh boy, don't exchange money with somebody because you can get it through exchanging money. So they were burning money. People were giving their money into the government in all these countries. They were told not to use it, to use different things. It's all getting people prepared for the chip, for a electronic currency. Well, if you Google counterfeit money, look at all these stories that come out in these towns, right? Like I showed you that newscast with all of the local reporters saying the same exact thing. Well, the same stories get produced. Ooh, counterfeit money in our town tonight. Counterfeit money, counterfeit money. What are we going to do? Somebody's printing fake $20 bills. We're going to have to stop the currency. Too many people are getting away with this. If we do it electronically, none of this can ever happen. How convenient. So now we have order out of chaos. A huge distraction, by the way, from the C-19. Huge distraction, right? Because now they're not talking about it all of a sudden, which is fine by me because I'm sick of it. But isn't it nice and convenient that, the last couple of weeks, people have actually started to question the C-19. They've actually come out and said, you know what? I think it's crap. I don't think it's real. Something's fishy around it. And what is the one thing they don't want you to do? They don't want you to riot and protest against them, against Big Brother. This would never happen. Buildings are being set on fire and stuff like that. No, they create these events and now everyone's distracted again. Oh, we got to do something about the racial unrest in this country, right? As they slowly ease out of the C-19, as they're continuing to study the data, give us small amounts of rights back, let us go to stores if we're lucky enough. We got to go to restaurants and have a wall between us and our dates. You can't make eye contact with anyone. It's unbelievable. If you don't have a mask on, you might as well get, consider yourself an alien at this point. This is what's going on. These are all planned events. These stories that become national stories are all contrived by them. There's an agenda behind it. It is order out of chaos. That's how it works. Now we have people demanding these police officers and all this other crap, go to jail. But what's the bigger agenda behind it, right? With the police force. Funny how none of these cops are shown as black. They're all white cops, right? And they're standing off, facing off against black people. I mean, it couldn't look more staged. It looks like it's right out of The Purge or right out of some movie. Because it is. It is. These agendas are created in the news, in the media. It's easy to create them. I know people go, how could they do that? They're all part of the same fraternal organization. They sit and they plan this stuff. They get orders from above and they act them out. Plain and simple. And that's why you constantly hear these stories of race with the white police and the black citizens. And everybody buys into it. None of these police officers have any common sense that they're going to lose their jobs and their livelihood, aren't going to be able to pay their mortgage off, and might go to jail. Really? Let alone the fact that the police officers have the Masonic emblem in their logos around the country. All part of a plan. If anyone out there really has a problem with this stuff that's going on and really thinks it's real, that's fine by me. You're allowed to have your own opinion. But look no further than the Freemason lodges in your town. And they'll deny it till the day they die. But guess what? They're not doing a good job of covering up anymore because there's people rising. And we're not going to sit back and stand for this Luciferian crap anymore. I thank you for listening to today's show. God bless all of you and your families.